Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right, we're back here for part 2 of this of the cat, which is our cat. So we're now going to be looking at to start with is the ears. Going to be looking at the ears. Okay, dokie. So let me just move this. So let me move this down a little bit. So we're going to start, because I'm right-handed, we're going to start on this ear on this side. Okay, dokie. So I'll put my piece of paper across here just so that I don't make any sort of get any oils off my hands onto the piece of paper. Okie dokie. So let me fetch up the reference image on my iPad. Oops. Come down. Where are you? Come on, Whisky, where are you? Let me just find it. Sorry about this. It's here somewhere. There he is. Yep. So we're going to be looking at this ear and this one on this side, okay? So these are fairly light colours. So again, I'm going to get my blue tack and I'm going to sort of lighten as much of this outline as I can, and I will probably rub out most of the actual outer. So from here, I'm just going to gently, I still see the line just, but only just. Okay, take the dust away. Okay, there we go. I'm also going to just rub out, I think, on some of this inside line. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to look, I put some darker sections in because in between the light loose hairs that we've got there, we've got some darker color. So we've got quite a few bits of loose hair coming, and they come from this sort of section of the ear. So, and they go in between all these dark sections. So I'm going to put most of them in with the embossing tool with the small end. So if you can see there, there's a bigger end on that side. So it's the bobble that makes the indentation. So I'm looking carefully. So they're going to be coming from this section here. So we've got some that come up here. So you press and you lift and then you just let it fall out. Some of them going in slightly different directions. And then we've got some that come over here. And if you rub your finger, you should be able to feel where the indentations are. And if you lift your paper up slightly and look, you should be able to see them there. Let me put a little bit more light on. We can, that's it. Is that a bit too bright for you? It is a little bit in it. So let me take them ones off and put the back ones on. Okay. There you go. You can see there a little bit better. So can you see, you can actually see the indentations just there. And then what we can do is if we need to add any more, we can do that with the slice. You can also use the thicker end of it. So you can do some different thicknesses, which often helps the piece look a little bit more realistic. Right, so I'm going to start with the lightest colour. So there is some white in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually mark in the white, which is on this edge here. So let me just fetch that down slightly. Okay, so from around here, so look carefully at and then just gently down this side. And it actually just comes in here, there, into that side. Okay, so I'm just going to put that little bit of white. It's not totally white, but it'll give us a good start. I'm just going to rub some of this line out here. Okay, I can see where the lines are. If I rub them almost out, but I can see them. Okay, so I'm looking at it and we've got a sort of pink in there. So what I'm going to do for the lightest layer is I'm going to use this pink white because I often look at Whisky's, you can see his ears and they're quite transparent at the top. So I'm actually going to start off on this bit here. I'm actually going to, using a circular motion, coming down this side. I'm actually going to give the whole ear, including that bit there, which is the little lump at the side. I'm going to go over it all with a very light covering of this pink white. So it's a white with a hint of a pink. But of course, we are going to definitely be darkening with other colours. I just want to get this colour in first. You might not see it quite there, but we have got it's a very light colour. It's a pink white. Okay. So next, I'm looking there and we've got a few bits of shadows. So let's have a look at where some of these shadows are going to lie. Let me just get the little Tombow rubber. Let me just rub out some of these little lines here. Okay. Whoops, get rid of all this dust. So we have got a little bit of shadow which goes around the outer side. So what I'm going to use for that is I'm actually going to use a raw umber. And it's just up here. So it's just between where the white and the pink meet. And it's got a little bit of a shadow. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing general backwards and forwards motions, but in the direction of which everything is flowing. So that's just in the top corner there. We've got that little bit of a shadowy area there, and also continuing with the same color down here at the bottom of where we've got these hairlines coming from. So I'm just going to again shade backwards and forwards, but with a light to medium pressure just there. Okay. Now then, we've got just in the side of the ear up at the top, I've got here, which is a primrose. You could use primrose or you could use the light flesh. I'm going to opt for the primrose. And it's just a slight yellow tinge. So it's a very light colour, but with a slightly yellow tinge. And then again, I'm just shading in the direction. Now it's just in this top section here, up to where this ear sort of bends out. That's where this light sort of yellow goes. Okay. So it's a form of white, but it's got that little bit of a yellow colour to it. So that's in the top. And then now moving down, we've got a darker sort of red, pinky colour. I think what's most appropriate for that is going to be this to start with underneath is this cinnamon, which is coming from the Polychromos range. So it comes all the way down here into that little lump there. Okay, and then that comes around here. Here, and then going over your, I'm using a circular motion. Okay, light pressure, I like to, there we go. I'm gonna just give that just a couple of times. Then light pressure. Going over those hairs that we've put in. Okay, and then we also have a little bit of this colour in here, just on this side, just there, and then on that side, just there. Okay. So then I'm going to go in and take, so we're just mapping all the colours in at the moment. I'm just going to take, oops, just give this a sharpen. This is the luminance brown ochre. Okay, so I'm just looking, and above here and on this pinky colour, right on the edge, it's got a slightly darker. So what I'm going to do is in the direction of the way it's going, which is it's a fairly smooth part of the ear, so you can do it in a circular motion, and it comes down here. Okay, and then up there. Then we do have some bits of it here. Okay. These will be the bits that I've marked out earlier. It comes down here. And then also you'll find this colour right in the centre of this, what we call a little nodule. And then also on the bottom side of the nodule there. Okay. So now I'm just going to go back in with some white just to blend these colours together. So I'm just going to nicely, lightly try and blend some of these colours together. Okay. Got this pink white just to on this rest this nodule here. And I'm just gonna find, oh, it's Tombow rubber. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take out this line again. You can see now where we're sort of going with this here. So I'm just gonna take out some of these lines. Okay. There we go. So you can see we've got some of the colouring in. It looks a little bit messy at the moment, but we're just going to keep layering up. So again, I'm going to use this primrose. Is there any other colour? The brown ochre. Don't need that. Let me just have a look here. So what have I got on here? So this is the light flesh. So I'm just going to sharpen these couple of pencils. Okay. I'm going back up to the top here, and where I put in the primrose, the lighter yellow, I just want to add a little bit more depth into this colour. So what I'm going to use now is this is the Luminance Light Flesh. Now I'm going to start and shape this ear a little bit more. So that comes down here. Blend that into there, into the pink that we put there. Okay, now at the top, we did put some raw umber in, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit the raw umber. Looking at it, putting in just a little bit of the green, very lightly, just a little bit of the green ochre. Now some of that is also in this centerpiece just there, but it's very, very light. And then down here, and then what I'm going to do is go over that with the raw umber because I don't want that to show up too greeny. And again, just blending that in nicely into the other colours and then down there. So we're going to go back in with this is cinnamon. There we go. Got the cinnamon. So I'm just going to add over the top of that just a little light touch, and I mean light, of the cinnamon and down in this sort of section just here. Okay. Be careful to sort of shape the ear. So that goes down there. This is the white section on the end there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white, when I can find it. I've got a white one here with a sharp point. I'm just going to back over with the luminant white and just again give it a nice sort of blend. So not too hard. Go right out to the edges. Blending them colours in nicely together. Okay. Then we've got the white edge as well. So now I'm coming back down here. I'm just trying to look at this because it's quite a funny colour. I might put a bit of a light grey underneath it just to tone it down a bit. So what I'm going to use is what's this one? The French grey 10%. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where we've put this sort of pinkish area or the darker area that's in the earlobe. Okay. Just going to put light shading, the French grey 10%. And around here as well. Just light to medium pressure. Okay. So that's now starting to fill in a little bit. So I can now probably go over a bit more with this with the cinnamon. Polychromos range. Okay. And then in the bottom here, I'm just going to put a little bit of the light flesh. Is it light flesh? Yeah, light flesh. It's got a little bit of a yellowy tone at the bottom of the ear there as it comes into the main source of the head. Okay. And then I'm going to get the brown ochre again. In these dark toned areas around this part of the ear. And as you sort of, you've got the, so release the pressure as you're coming out. Okay, and in there as well. So you got that bit there, just release the pressure. And then I'm going to add some of this to this, because this is going to form a little bit of a shadow on his ear. So just there and around the edge. So like that, and then just gently fade it off a little bit. Pull back on the pencil so you're not putting as much pressure through it as we go down. So put the brown ochre gently over the cinnamon, and it will give us that more. It's a pinky color, but it's got a bit of a dull tone to it. So by putting the brown ochre over the top, it's going to dull it down slightly. And then again, in here, in this bit, we've just got the cinnamon at this side, around these darker sections. And then up there, and then at the top, we've just got the, I've got the pink white. And then I'm just going to go around this edge with a pink white. So a light to medium pressure and pull it into these colors. So they'll start to blend together nicely. Down there. And you can see the little hairs that are sticking out there. Okay. Now then, still not quite looking grey enough. So the French grey 10%. I'm just going to put in here. There's a bit of a shadow there. Comes down into there. Out of that nodule, there's a little bit of shadow just there. And if you need to, just keep adding this brown ochre. And as you're coming out into the lighter area, just lift your pressure off. So if you've got a medium pressure there, and then just make sure that's a light pressure as you're coming down. Okay. And then I'm just going to take the pink white and I'm just going to go gently over the whole of the ear. There. Yeah. We may come back to that. I just want to get a little bit just to, because now that's the ear, but it is joining onto this onto the head. So we've got here, I've got some French grey. What is it? It's just the pure French grey, so it's the darkest of the French greys. And what we've got here is it's a lot darker at the bottom here. So I'm just gonna fetch that. That's the darker bit, and then just lighten it off slightly, but fetch it out in this direction here, and it comes to about there. Okay. Again, I'm just blocking in color, and then it comes across there. Then we've got some dark color here. And then just a little bit of the dark here. And then where I was putting the start of the darker sections in there, put that in, that shows a little bit of the darkness as it's in between. So you got the contrast in between the white hairs. Okay. And then the cinnamon or the brown ochre, and then just literally come over, light pressure again. That down there. And a bit more of the light flesh up here. And some of the light flesh down at the bottom here. Okay. That's now starting to take shape a bit. I just need to blend this in a little bit more. Some hair detail, fur detail, should I say, on there later on. Okay. So that's that ear done. I'm gonna put pink, white, or the light flesh. I'm just gonna put some of this across the very top of this head there. And as we come across, it does start to go into a more of a pinky colour. So I'm swapping now for the pink white, just and blend that into about there. And shading up and down. And then just use your tumbler rubber just to lift the outer outline. As I say, once we've got a little bit of colour in there, we don't really need it. Take away the excess dust. Go back in. If there's any stubborn sections of the line, just use your plastic rubber and then go back over with the colour, because you will obviously have rubbed out some of your colour. There. And then the light flesh, I'll just go back in, just up here. Again, light to medium pressure and pull it down. So this bit here, it comes down to about there. Keep looking at the shapes. Okay, so we've got some of this top of his head on, which is fairly light, so you won't see it very much, but that's what it looks like. So now we're coming over to this side of the ear. This side here. Okay, so this side is more pink, bright pink, whereas that was more of a browny grey pink. This one's looking a lot more bright. It's a lot brighter pink. So once again, I will take my tool. I'm just gonna get rid of some of this edge, lighten it down again, because these are going to be really light colors. We don't want I mean, we can rub some more of them out as we go along, but okay. Okay, so we can just see roughly where we're going. I'm gonna use my blue tack just to lighten some of these off here. It's not going to be quite that dark. It's just where we can put the embossing tool. I've used it as a guide, so I know roughly where I'm going to be putting the hairs from. So this time they're going to come from, they're coming off this side. So this is sort of where there's a slight fold in the ear. It comes round there. You can see. So that's a fold, comes and it comes back into there, round there. So the loose hairs are going to be coming from here. So, and again, make sure some of them cross. You don't want them all. Some are going up that way. And we've got some shorter ones that come here in the middle. And then as we come out, we've got some, I'm just going to change around and use the, and these come quite far out here. Then we've also got, just noticed, if we look here at the bottom of the ear, it's going to be, again, quite light. And we do have, so if we put them in, we do have, so I'm going to use the fine point. If you see, I'm doing them both ways because I want them to fade off in both directions. But, okay, so you can see we've got some down here and then we've got these ones there. Okay, so again, we're going to start with the lightest color. So we've got this pink white. Give it a sharpen. I want the colors to go on quite smooth. Okay. Let me just move these out of the way to get over this side a little more so you can see what I'm doing. Okie dokie. So I'm going to shade. Around here, leaving that line of white around the outer side for now. But now I'm going to go right up to the edge because I suppose that's the more when we get the colours built up, it will look more white. Okay, that comes down here. And coming back up here. Okay, that comes around here. Looking at your reference photo at all times so you can see the shapes and where we're going. Okay. Now, I haven't put the pink white down there because that's a different color, really. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm actually going to put some of the light flesh down this bit to start with. And then this bit here curls round. Goes back up there to that point, sort of there. So that's the sort of bend in the flesh of the ear. Now we've got the shape in. We could take the pencil mark out. Okay. Okay. Now, just to make sure, I'm just now, if you look, this is where I've shaded this. So if you look carefully, I'm just going to put this in. Now I'm using a French grey for now. Putting it in the direction of which it's going to go. Now this is the shadow that is right behind the ear. That will be made a lot darker. Comes out a little bit there. That's it. So that's just so we know where the shadow from the ear comes. And there's a little bit more of it just here. So there we go. I just want to put those darker bits in. Right then. So what we've got is we've got a grey. So I'm going to use this the French grey 10%. And I'm coming in now. This is the sort of curvature of the. It's a fold over the ear. So when you put the grey in, it wants to have. Don't do a straight line. Try and make it so it's a curved line, and it wants to be sort of darker at the top. And as you come down towards the inner part of the ear, just lift your pressure off slightly. Okay. There we go. So it's like that. So you can see I've curved sort of pencil strokes. Okay. And it comes sort of around here. Then we've got this sort of have a look. What we got? Have a look at what we got in the polychromos. The raw umber in the polychromos is a bit more yellowy than the one that we have. So where this comes around here, it wants to be a little bit darker on the outside. So using the polychromos raw umber, I'm just going to put some little strokes in there. Okay. And also I'm going to go from the top and then pull the pressure off. I'm only doing a very thin line of this using the polychromos. Right on the outer edge. That ear there. Okay. And to blend that in, I'm just going to use the French grey 10%. So if you look, I'm just going to pull that down a little bit into there. There we go. So that's there for now. On top of that French grey, I'm just going to put some brown ochre. I've got the brown ochre in this shadow area just to start, and again. And we have a nice crisp edge here where the ear is. Okay. As it comes up, it comes out there. Okay. And then it comes over this way. This is a little bit lighter at this end. Level to there. Down here. That's just blocking in some of that colour for the ear. Okay. Right then. So now I'm going to get the cinnamon, which is the lighter of the pinks, and we're going to sort of go into about here. Now, a lot of this is going to be left white, or we're going to use the pink white just to build the layers up a little bit. But this bit here is going to be a little bit more pinky, so we're going to use the cinnamon. Comes to there. We've got this white section here, and then let me just move that out. That out a little bit. So then this is where we have a nice pink section again. It's equivalent to the nodule on the other side. It comes right down into this white area here. But on the end of it, got this white bit there. But it's lighter this side, darker this side, and then lift the pressure so it gets a little bit lighter at this side. And then it gets a bit darker again down here. Okay. So then if we get the pink white again, pink white comes down here, around there, and then most of this area is going to be the pink white. About there. Okay. And then I'm going to add some cinnamon here. The edge of that white there. And then it gets shallower and gets up more up to this side the more we go around here. Okay. Over just a couple of times just to get that main color down. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of the French grey 10%. Just up in this top corner here, where there's a little bit of a shadow. And then flick down into this bit here again to darken that slightly. Okay. And then we need to put a little bit here. This has got a little bit of a brown tinge to it, so then just release the pressure there. And back to the cinnamon. And just make that a little bit darker on that edge there. And then again, fade that into the center. And then what we can do for now is just get a white pencil. So illuminant white, if you've got one. And then using a medium pressure, excuse me, I'm going to blend these colors together. Okay. Excuse me. gently, but sort of medium pressure, and just so they just nicely mush up together. Okay. I'm just going to rub out some pencil lines here. I don't like the look of. You just take them out. Got to rub them out earlier. It's my fault. See, I do make mistakes. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally put back some of this cinnamon, mainly at this end here. On the more it goes down into the center of the ear, the lighter it gets. Okay. Again, I think there's a bit of a pencil line here. That out just to it's a bit better there. We can see. Okay. Now then, there is a very dark patch in this ear, so I'm going to start. I'm going to start actually with the dark sepia, and then I'm going to use the Perylene brown because it's a reddy color. So it's just about here. It starts, and it goes over some of that, comes down there, and then it seems to go up that way, and then into these, across into these hairs, and then this side it comes around where that little nodule is. Okay. Okay, so that's where that goes. And then I'm going to put some Perylene brown, so the reddy brown over the top. Again, only light to medium pressure. And then with the, I'm going to just sort of add a little bit of the around the edges just to soften them slightly. So it's like a mid-tone. So it goes from mid-tone to a lighter tone using the cinnamon. Okay. And once again, I'm just going to go in with this right in the centerpiece. I'm going to go in with the dark sepia. I'm not going right to the edge of the dark sepia. I'm lifting pressure. It's medium pressure in the middle, but at the edges, it's a lighter pressure. And just keep repeating this process until we have so we can now afford to darken up this pink, the cinnamon. Lifting the pressure off as we go towards the white area where all the hairs are. And then I'm going to take the French grey 10% and just add in to where these bits of hair are coming in to the middle, using some sort of linearish strokes. I'm going to actually put, so this is the shadows that are cast from the hairs. We get a bit of shadow in there as well. Okay. And there's a bit of shadow just around that bit there. Okay. Okay, okay. I might just put a little bit of black in the middle there. Lift it out as come. Yeah, and then just again. Just gently, so it's a soft touch as we're coming out, and just let that blend in there. And then again, just let the cinnamon, so that's the connection between the perylene brown and the cinnamon inside the pink inside the ear. You know? Um, and then I'm just going to blend all this together with the white. Okay. Um, light flesh can come up here as well, where the light flesh comes in. The little bit of the raw umber over the top just to dull it down a little bit. That's it. White again and just blend all of that. Pink. Um, the brown and cinnamon. Cinnamon there. Pull off the pressure as we're going inside there. Try and give it like a quite nice blend. And then as we're coming around this side, we do have a little bit of a brownie colour, brownie warm tone going on here. And then just get the white, the pink white again. Blend all of those colours together there. Just here, it's got a little bit of a light flesh tone. Um, that line out there. Keep getting to rub these lines out because I'm not used to them being there. To be quite honest, I'm just used to it being very pale. Okay, and then cinnamon again, just to blend it. There. And then I can always use this knife then to just I need to add a few more bits of hair there. And then also up here. These are quite dense on this side. But these will be slightly different colour because obviously we're pulling the pigment out from the paper, but they're not going to be pure white. Like they're not going to be right down to the paper. Just we go. Cinnamon again. And if you sort of push it into and then lift the pressure off. That's it. Pink on that side. And then I'm just going to glaze. There's a little bit of this light flesh colour here. So I'm just going to glaze it over the top. So it's not sort of a definite colour, but it's there. Okay. So that's the ears. Okay. So let me see. Let me see if I can just zoom that out a little bit. Gonna work. Don't know why, but oh, there we go. So there you can see that the ears they're starting to. I mean, they're still quite ugly, but as I say, we are going to add more colour as we go along. Okay, so that's 2 ears. We've just got this light bit placed on the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around with my I'm actually going to go around with the polychromos the sienna. And what I'm going to do is all these darker sections, which I know are going to be dark, I'm just actually going to quickly map them in there like that. So we're going to have a dark section there. I'm just going to put some little lines in to mark where they're going to go. Got the dark section here. Try and follow the direction the fur is going to go in. Put that one there, there. Then we're going to have a couple of these. So these I'm not marking in quite as harsh. I'm just going to put them in. Okay. And we've got this that comes up here. That. Couple of little ones there. Working backwards here, we've got a dark piece there. There's going to be some dark lines coming out of here. Mm-hmm. So basically going around and just following the line drawing and putting in a lot of these. Now, some of these aren't quite so dark, so just make sure, like on this side, everything's a bit lighter. So just make sure you put the lines in that little bit lighter. Don't press on quite so much. Okay. So I'm just going to take my Tombow eraser and any sort of pencil marks that's left. I'm just going to sort of try and lightly remove them without disturbing the polychromos too much. Yeah. Yeah. Give that a good clean. So we now have his hair mapped out basically. Um, zoom back out again. So I've just put the lines in roughly. So I'm going to work up to here because this is where all of this sort of this side's lighter, that side does. This is where all the gingers and browns are going to come in. So let me have a look. What have we got in? Oops, just 2 seconds. Um, so I'm looking at the lightest colour. It's got a bit of a pink tone to it. So this butternut seems to be the best colour in this range. I've got the butternut and the primrose. Okay. So these are some watercolor pencils. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to put the base layers down with some watercolor. And watercolor pencils, you know, you use them. You can either use a paintbrush to put them on, or you can just cut more wood. It's up to you. But what this does is this puts like the very lightest base layers down, and it does sort of give a good coverage over the watercolor paper. So you don't have as much paper showing through. So it gets rid of some of the texture. So they're the two colors. If you look, one's a slight, so on the darker side, I'm going to use that one, and on the light side, I'm going to use that one. So these are just the base colors, really. So what I'm going to do is you look carefully. So up at this top, we've got some light. So this is the primrose. This is the lightest color. So I'm just basically looking where all the light color is, and I'm just putting in. Again, I'm just blocking color in. Okay. And then coming around here. Now this color, I'm actually going to put roughly where the white of the whiter or the lighter parts of the eye are going to be. Following the direction of fur. Okay. There. Then we have round here, we've got some quite light sections that come down to where this pink is. And round here. So again, keep looking at your reference photo. So these look fairly white in the picture, but I mean, they're going to start off. This is sort of a very light yellow, but by the time we put all the darker colors on, you know yourself, it'll start to look more like white. So I'm putting this color wherever the lightest of the fur is. Okay. And we're coming down to, I'm just sort of coming across there. So now I'm going to look at the rest of the spaces. I'm actually going to put in this color. So you put it in and you go over, so you block in the color, going over your polychromos. Avoid the places where you've just put the really light tone. Around here. Lay down plenty of pigment. Now this is going into a bit of a grey area, so I'm going to leave that bit there. In the direction of the fur. Okay. So you've got a choice now. You can either go with a cotton wool bud or you can go with a paintbrush. So I'm going to use a cotton wool bud because it's a large area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of water onto it. You don't want to saturate it. You just want to sort of dampen it. Oops, this board keeps moving, I'm afraid. Okay, and then what you do is again in the direction of the fur, and it turns. These are Museum Mackerel. Um, Up to now, these are the best watercolor pencils I've found. They blend nice. Always work the light. So find the lighter color and then pull that up into that peachy color. Now, if you look, it doesn't disturb the polychromos. That's why we put the polychromos markings in first, and we will be working over those and darkening them. But this is just putting a nice base layer on. And the reason why I like them is I've tried other coloured pencils, watercolor pencils, but I find that they go sort of a bit streaky and the colours don't blend very nice. Whereas this one, it is like having pure watercolor inside a pencil. They are so nice, and the other colored pencils do work well with them. Okay, make sure that's all done. Now you can see they're blended quite nicely. We've got these light areas on this side, and then this peachy color. It's looking a bit yellow on the screen, but it is a peachy color, believe me. Um, so we've now got the start, but we haven't got a lot of the graininess of the paper coming through. So I'm just going to wait for that to just dry for a couple of seconds. So the colours we're going to use in the fur, let's have a look. I'm going to be using, so let me have a look on my scrap bit of paper that I had yesterday. I could find it. There we go. So let's have a look at some of these colours. And then I'll just offer them up to the photograph and see which ones work the best. So that's the burnt sienna. Yeah. Now the burnt sienna, burnt sienna polychromos. That works really well. So we've got some. We do have some sort of apricot-y colours in the cat as well. So I'm just now going. Let me just have a look at. So this is the raw sienna from the polychromos range. Now in the darker side of here, but as I say, the mid-tones, that's a raw sienna polychromos. That is a nice one. So we've got those two. Let me have a look. Use that one. Have a look. What's that color? Is that two? Yeah, I think that's a bit too. That's too apricotty. So let me take them away. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Um, we've got the light flesh, which will do nicely for some of the lighter areas. So as you can see, we've got the light flesh there. This was the apricot from the Pablo range, but it's just slightly too bright, whereas that one is just right. So we've got that one. It's going to be the brown ochre and with the, no, we don't want that one. So that one, that's a greeny colour. We don't want that. The raw rumba, we could use that one. We do have some shadows as well. So we've got the brown ochre 10%. Yeah. And then the brown ochre itself is just slightly reddier than the or a more goldeny colour than the burnt sienna. But we will also probably be using if I can find it again. Where's it gone? There we go. Oops. The Perylin brown, which is a reddy brown there. Now that is a nice colour for the very, very dark tones. It does work well. So we'll have them. We've got those. So we've got enough colours there to sort of help us through, and we may use a bit of the in case we need some sort of shadows. I think I've got the French grey. Yeah, I've got a French grey and a raw umber, so that's fine. Okie dokie. So let me just pick these pencils up. Oh, there we go. Right. I hope you can see this okay. Right. I'll take that away. That's my sample. I'm showing you the sample. So we'll get some of the fur on, and then what we can possibly do then is we'll uh, revisit the eyes and the ears and see if we need to darken any of those tones. Okie dokie. So, starting with some of the luminance pencils, I'm gonna just put these polychromos ones down here for a little while because I'm not going to be using them just yet. Keep dropping the white because it's a little one. Um, so let me just put the luminance right. So I'm just going to mark in some of these darker uh fur, fur places, and I'm actually going to be using sort of a shading motion, but in the line of the fur. So I'm not exactly going to be doing individual fur strokes yet. I'll be using the polychromos mostly for those. So this is the actual brown ochre. Again, light pressure, and I'm looking and I'm fading it so it's darker at the bottom here, fade it in like that. So this is going to go where all of the really dark colours are going to go. Okay. So down here we have right down here. So I'm looking at my reference photo all the time, and I am pulling the fur in the pulling the pencil in the direction of the fur. Now remember, these are the darkest sections that I'm looking at just now. Okay. Oh, they come right down here. Now, by putting some of this luminance down first, if we need to use the slice tool, it will be a lot easier. It'll work a lot easier. So there we go. I put the darks there. So that's now fetching this out into a lighter sort of colour. We have some very dark bits up here, which are coming from the ear. So I'm just going to pull them in. Again, I'm just looking at the reference photograph and I'm looking for shapes. I'm sort of trying to use the shapes to get the so it's shapes and direction I'm looking at. And I'm using sort of, because this is going to be the dark tones, I'm using a bit of a medium pressure really. And then we've got some more dark tone that starts to go in that direction here. Okay. A bit more dark here. So you should find that you're going over basically where all these lines are, and you're just looking for the shapes because they do sort of get fatter in some areas and thinner in others. And I'm just pulling it in the direction that the fur is going. Okay. Some of these little individual lines you don't have to bother too much with. We can put them in later as and when. So there's a little bit of dark coming from there. That bit goes up there. And then we've got this twisty bit up here. Comes down there. Now don't worry too much if you don't get these in right in the the exact position. This is the shadow area that's round by that ear. And then there's that piece there that we started to put in. And then we got a few more up here at the top. And then we got this bit here where it's there. And then that bit there. Got a little bit coming up there. And these are slightly smaller pieces. There we go. So that's more or less that area mapped out. Okay. This area has got a lot of grey in it, so I don't want to mix these colours with the grey too much. So that's the brown ochre I've used. So now I'm going to be looking at the sort of mid-tone. So for the mid-tone, here's the brown ochre. We don't want that one. Got just bear with me 1 second. The pencil's out. Let's have a look what we've got in the luminance range for the medium browns. Um, Sort of like let's have a look. Is that the Here we go. We've got burnt ochre and a burnt ochre 50%. That'll do. So I'm going to use these two for the mid-tones. Okie dokie. So on this side, it's going to be more of this colour. So it's because it's got like a bit of a so avoiding the lighter areas, which are these, and just up here where the ear is. So look at your reference photograph, and then if you fill in the mid-tone, so you can go over the dark tone like that. We've got some light tones up here at the top. So just sort of lift your pressure as you're going into the light tones. Following the direction of the fur. Some light tones here. That one there. Okay, so that's the lightest of the mid tones. There's a few bits over this side. Okay. And then I'm going to go with this one is just a burnt ochre. That was the burnt ochre, 50%. This is the burnt ochre. So this is on this side, everything is that little bit darker. Again, I'm just filling in these mid-tones, leaving some of the lighter areas, what I can see. Over this side, they're more, it is a lot darker over this side. Comes down there. And then we've got that. Okay. So you can still see these darker shapes, which is good. The brown ochre 10%, there's lighter colour over this side. Making sure we've got plenty of pigment down. Okay. So now I'm going to take cotton one board, but dry. I'm just literally gonna just I'll just give them a little bit of a blend. Okay. So go over all of the colours from the light to the dark. Again, just in the direction of the fur. And, so that has slightly blended the colours a little bit more. Okay. Okay. So still going through the ugly stage, but the colours aren't quite the same on screen as what I've got them on here. On mine, they're a little bit warmer. The screen, it's showing them a little bit cooler, but it doesn't really matter. As I say, it's about getting the saturation, the depth, and the contrasts in there. Okay, so keeping my pencil there, I'm going to start from the top now and work down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the polychromos now, and also I've got this perylene brown. May use a little bit of the dark brown, so probably a walnut brown if in the polychromos range. Let me just have a look. Where's my pencil thing on? There it is. Now, in the lighter areas, let's have a look at what we've got in the polychromos range. Because we're doing more detail now, so the polychromos will be the better ones to have for detail. Okay, but by having the luminance down, we've got the option of blending, of scraping out with a slice. Now, I'm going to use a terracotta. I use that really as a glaze because it's got that nice gingery reddy colour. So, got the brown ochre. That's a nice mid-tone on the luminant, on the polychromos. Then for the warmer yellowy tones, got the Bista and not it too yellowy. I've got a green gold, so we'll try that as well. We might not use that one, but we might. So these are the colours I'm going to be using for the detail with the polychromos. I might not use them all. There is one luminance between them, and that's the Perylin Brown. Or I could use Carpet Muntum. But this has got a little bit more red to it. Okay. So that one I'm going to leave till the end because that will be a glaze. So I'm going to start with the lightest mid-tone. Make sure I've got a nice sharp pencil. I'm actually going to use, in the Polychromos range, I'm going to use the raw umber. Now this is a bit more yellowy and fitting with the fur than the luminance range. Okay, so I'm going to start up here. So again, I'm following and I'm putting separate linear stroke down. And where I want to see it a little bit lighter, I will just leave this color down here because it is slightly lighter. So so this is the lightest mid-tone. Okay, so I'm just looking at both the length and direction of the first strokes. Okay, so I'll do this little section here first. That's going to come down into this section here from the darker area. Okay. The hair sort of come down here. So the darker the colour, the closer together you put the first strokes. Don't put your first strokes. Now, one of the mistakes a lot of people make is don't do your first strokes like that. Best bet is to hold your pencil quite far back. Just put your point on and lift and let it. And what you'll find is that you'll get some that cross over, and that does, and it tapers off here, whereas these are the same more or less at each end. So do that using the point and then lift it off, and you'll find that they will go in lots of different directions and cross over each other. Okay, and then if you're coming out into a lighter area, all you do is just put less, lift your pressure a little bit, but also spread your strokes out a little bit more, and then you can build up on the layers. They keep building the layers. Use the same colors or different colors, and you'll notice that you will get that smoother transitions. Okay, so that's what we're doing here now. So I'm looking basically at, that's going to come down to there. The lighter area there. That curves up there a little bit, and we have a few little loose edges that come out. Goes all the way up there to that darker area. Okay. Fetching that down just a little bit. If you notice, I do some strokes up and some strokes down. Okay, so we've made a start there. So I'm just going to go back up now into these, just into this little bit of darker area. Now, just here, I've got, this is the darker mid-tone. Right at the top here, it's just some very tiny hairs. And it's sort of a bit of a lighter mid-tone. And also, if you fetch some of these down into the lighter area at the top of the head there, you'll see if we can get it focused right. You can see where they go into this there. And then I'm just gonna, so that was using the Bista from the Polychromos. Then I'm gonna take, let me just see, this looks a bit out of focus. That's better. So there you can see, look, where if you push or pull the hairs in, and then these lighter hairs look like they're on top. So now we're going into this dark, real darker section. Fuzzy again. I have to get myself a new camera, I think. The way you see the darkest of the areas, I'm going to put this burnt sienna. And again, just again, keeping my eye on the reference photograph at all times. Pulling it down into the mid-tone area. All the time looking at the length and the direction in which the furs go in. So you can see there, we're just starting to build this up now. Now that fur actually is a little bit darker than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some of the dark sepia just more in the middle and then just less as we come out to the edges. It's like darkened up. Some of the areas. There we go. And then back in with a little bit of the burnt sienna. So, I mean, you could use black and burnt sienna, but because we don't want it to be as dark as black, we don't want it as harsh, I'll use this, or you could use a grey, a warm grey, because it's a warm colour. So you could use a warm grey and then use the brown on top. And that will give your brown a little bit extra colour, bit extra depth. But because it's a warm colour, it's a reddy brown, in some parts it'd be more red than others. Then we need, you need to sort of, you don't want a black in there as well. It's going to be too harsh. Okay, so it comes down here just slightly, a bit lower down this side. There we go. Okay, so see there, we're doing the strokes quite close together. Now, when you look at a picture close up like that, it's always going to look a bit of a mess. So, um, what I suggest, I always say to students, right, every so often stop, stand the painting up, stand back, take it a step back and look at it because you will see some errors in it, or you might see where it needs to be a little bit darker or needs to be a little bit softer. And then you can soften them in, or you can, put more fur in, whatever it needs. So, got my dry cotton wool bud here. So what I'm going to do is I like to just go across the bottoms there just to soften it in just that a little bit. Okay. And then also just put in some of the medium or the darker mid-tone just at the bottom, just to show that the colour is gradually changing. Okay. There we go. So that's that little bit. So we're going to be working on this for each section a little bit smaller than before. Right. So just before we start, I need let me just have a quick look because the ear now we're just putting that little bit of dark fur there. The ear looks a little bit out. So what I've got is a polychromos. Um, I've got a red violet. And I seem to think this looks a lot better colour for just here. So what I'm doing is very lightly, I'm going back over this colour here and then pulling back as we move further down. And then there's a little bit of it just here. And then just a very tiny line to come around the ear, just here, there. Okay, a little bit of red violet in there. And then that darkens up just there. Okay. Then I'm just going to blend that with a little bit more of the cinnamon. And then take some of that out. There's a little bit too much there. Uh, so there you can see now that ear does look a little bit more in keeping with the colour, and it is so it's more of a reddy violet, which is what I've used. I think it might just need just very lightly. Where the shadow falls behind there. Okay. There's some shadows in there. And back with the red violet. Blend that away. And then if you've got a little bit of a white, um, a little rubber again. Whoops, take that end off. And just really make sure you've got rid of your outlines. Just round here. There we go. That off there. Try not to rub it off with your hands because you're just going to put the oil into the right. So there we go. That's sharpened up a little bit better now. So that's the ear for now. I may use the not sure if it's gonna take any more out, but no, that's about right. Okay, I'm not going to take any more out of there. That's just about right. So there's that ear done, and now we're just starting on this fur as we're coming down. So now I'm going to look at, just needs a little bit of the perylene brown, but very light. So I'm not doing very heavy strokes. Just give it that hint of a red vibe. Okay, there we go. That's looking a lot better there. Um, right, where have I put my? Oh, there's my burnt ochre. So now we're coming down here. I'm looking. I'm going to put in a little bit of the burnt ochre again. Fluff out the edges. And just keep checking for where we have the darker areas and the lighter areas. Just going to start this section off here. This is a real dark. To there. Down to there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this is the bister, so I'm going to put a little bit of the bister in there. Because even though this is it's almost a reddy brown, but it's got other browns in it as well. So if you go right into it, you can see it's got this bister color in there. And then it's got quite a lot of the reddy. So I'm going to start with the burnt sienna. Doing linear and individual first strokes, but I'm using a little bit more pressure now. And then notice it's got a bit of raw umber just here. So I'm using the Luminance raw umber 10%. That just gives you this little bit of a shadow just there. Okay, and then I'm going to take the Perylene brown, so this reddy brown, because quite a bit of this in here. So starting at this end, then there's gaps where it's just mainly brown, but then there's other section. It's very small hairs here. And as it comes down here, it gets quite dark. Then it lightens off again just there, just before it goes into where the behind the eye. Okay, so you can see that is slightly reddier than that. Okay, which is when you look at the picture, that's the case. It's a little bit more red in there, but not that much. That's it. So in here, so I just need now just to give it a bit more depth. I'm just going to put a few little bits of the dark sepia there. And then again, red, the perylene brown, the red brown. Now, if you haven't got this in the luminance, one that you can use is the Caput Mortem Violet in the Polychromos, or just any sort of really either it looks like a very dark red, um, but preferably something that's got more of a brown tone to it than a red, than just a totally red tone. So now we're going to go back up here a little bit now that we've established these darker areas. Now I'm using the Polychromos green gold. This is sort of, it's got a yellowy tone to it. Now there are sections in this cat, if you look at him, where he's got bits of like a golden colour, but it's got a hint of a green. So this is where I put in this colour. Okay, so you can see it looks a bit more vibrant on the screen than what it is in actual life. But then I'm just going to go over with a Bista, sorry, a raw umber, Polychromos raw umber. So just go over that a little bit. So just calms that down, but you've got the hints of the yellow coming through. And then this bit here gets a little bit darker, but it's a mid-tone. So the raw umber Polychromos range is just ideal. So there's lots and lots of different colours in this. And by putting all these different colours in and looking where you can see these colours, you do actually start to develop a little bit of a stripy effect in there, which is what we're looking for. So now I'm going back to the burnt ochre. Okay. So I'm pushing some of these into this because these are the sort of, this is the brow. It's like the eyebrow bit of the, and we put some of those embossed lines in there. And then I'm just going to go back with my burnt sienna because this is where it's very dark. We've got some more dark brown in here. So we've got a little patch of it just there. Fading it up. And then also some of it goes in between some of these white hairs. Okay. And then from this side, we have the dark, so the burnt sienna again. And that is going up. And that sort of sits along the bottom of those embossed lines that we did. And then it goes up a little bit there. Starts to turn that way. Okay. So again, I'll get me Perylene Brown and just right in the depths of these because it does get a bit lighter as we come up. Fade it out into the normal colour. There we go. Okay. Then go back. So brown ochre again. So we're going, you can go back over it. And because we're going in the direction and we're putting little hairs and we're getting all these different colours. Our Whisky is a ginger and white cat. And yes, he's got a few sort of these darker lines at the front, but majority of his fur, when you look at it, is just all different golden browny colours and some, very warm colours. But he's also got some that are a little bit more pinky. So it's just a matter of introducing these colours, but as long as you're keeping your general eye on where the darkest and the lightest are, and then using the mid tones in between to make sure that these all blend in nicely and all of the colours start to look like they should do. So these are a lot lighter just here. So we've got an opaque white. So I'm just going to use this little white, just lighten that up just a little bit there. Then we have a few little whites come in from there. So hold it back up again. There you go. So you can see we've got the nice yellowy tone, got the dark tones with the red, dark reds in, but then we've also got some of these other mid-tones, which when they come down, they're like a golden color. And then I've left some of these lighter areas, but they're not actually white. They're just a lot lighter areas. And now this brow bit that we made, it was quite dark when we finished yesterday. But because we've put these other darks around and these other warm colors, it does change the effect, and they now become and start to look a lot lighter. Okay. Um, while I've got this here, but what I'm going to do is he has got a few white hairs going over his eye. So I'm just going to pull those in. And because, like I said, we've used luminance, we can actually pull a couple of colours, a couple of bits of light colour. Take some of that fluff off. Some of these light white colours turn and go into that brown a little bit. Okay, so I build that up a little bit more, and then I can get some more. We can pull some more of the colours out. So put some of these mid-tones there. Back in with this burnt sienna. Okay. So you can see now it's making these stand out a little bit more. And they're looking as though they're a bit more forward, and that the dark pieces are going back. I'm just going to put in a little bit at the bottom of this dark sepia. In between there and up there. So we're going to put some, you can see some little patches of grey as well. So I'm just going to put the odd fur line of grey in there. After all, he's getting old now. He's 80 odd year old, and the vet said, the last visit we had to the vet said, well, I hope I'm as fit as he is at that age when I'm 80 something. I think he's about 82 now in years, cat years. There we go. So, as I say, keep taking a stand back and make sure you're seeing what you're seeing on the picture. So let's just whip across quickly, and I'll start this area where it's lighter, and then we've got to blend the two together, and then I'll carry on, and you can watch. I don't need to keep talking, but the colours I'm using are all the same. So I've got brown ochre from the Polychromos range, dark sepia, the burnt sienna, the green gold, which I won't be using much on that side, Bista, and Aurora Umber. Okay, so and from the luminance, a perylene brown. So the other thing we're going to do at the end when we finish that, I've got this terracotta, which is it's a neutral color, but it'll give it a nice orangey tinge. But we'll be just doing that as a glaze. Okie dokie. So that one. Oh, I've got a burnt ochre in the I've got a burnt ochre in the luminance range as well, just in case the one from the because the one from the polychromos is slightly different. So they're the two burnt ochres, and you can see the difference. So depending on what color you're looking for, I think this one will be better for this side because it's got more of a warm tone to it. And it's a lot lighter. So we'll be using mainly the mid-tone. So I'm going to be using the raw umber Vista probably. And then obviously just the odd dark section, but let's just take it from this here. So I'm going to start with the raw umber from the polychromos range. And I'm not going to start right up here because that is quite a light area. So I'm just doing some very colouring. There was a couple that curl outwards like that there and come back in. This is all to do with the bone structure on the face. This bit here is a lot lighter, so the first quite short. Okay, gonna come down. The piece that comes down this way, that's his ear. Comes down there. Then we've got this bit here. This is coming into this lighter area. So now I'm just going to release a little bit of pressure. Now, because we put the peachy colour on this side, um, from my perspective on here, on what I'm looking at, this side is a little bit warmer than that side. It's got a pinky tone to it. It looks more yellow on the screen than, but if you tilt it in a certain way, you can see it has got like a warm pinky glow, which is what we've got mainly on this side. It's one of the darker sections, and then this one there. So I'm going to use a bit of the Bista in there as well. Take that up. Now we've got some of the Bista in this mid-tone area as well. Goes into that white just to make it look a bit more. See? And the sort of pinky white area. So I'm using very light pressure and just pulling the colours in. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of the burnt sienna in these darker areas, but not right to the edges, just in the darker sections, and pull it away. And then here, and then I'm just going to get a bit of this cinnamon because when I look at it, coming out of this brown, darker brown area, I've just got this pinky, light pinky tone. So I'm just going to put this cinnamon, which is a nice pinky colour, but I just hope it's not too dark. No, that's about right. And then I'm going to put some of that up in here as well, just to warm it up a little bit more. And up here we've got sort of a pinky glow. Just about there. And then around here, the pinky. That, and then leave a gap. Got like a white bit there. And a bit more pink. And then we can actually use the slice later on to get some of the white sections out. Okay, that's got some of the bister in there. Okay, so here I can see some of the bister. I'm just darkening up some of these parts in the ear that I can see that are now going to need darkening. Okay. And then here where we sort of did, I'll put the pink, but I just want to put some of this bister with it as well. And just at the top there. There we go. So it looks like we've got two layers of fur there. Vista then comes up here. Okay, then I'm going to use a little bit of the Perylin burnt ochre. Where's the oh, here we go with the Perylin. A lot of it in it, but there's just a little bit there. There's not as much as what's on the other side. Except in this piece here, which is coming away from the eye. And it lightens off a bit there. So I put the bister over the top and pull it out a little bit and just lift. Then again, I just get the little bit of cinnamon here, a little bit of pink. There we go. And then we've just got a little section of dark coming out of there. Not quite as dark, so we'll just use the burnt sienna just there. Okay. So he's starting to take shape. So we've just got to build. So this side, as I say, is lighter, and then we're going to go away darker. And then we're going to keep going back and building up these layers. We're going to do quite a few layers just to get the depth. So before I start with any of that, I just want to get this dark shadow in. So we've got a crisp edge here. That goes up and sort of ends just there. And the strokes sort of come over. So this is a shadow on his fur from this ear. So that'll come right out to there. Comes down here. And then sort of disappears down here. Now this is really dark, so I'll put that in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the dark sepia. So from this edge, and then pull it out a little bit because it gets lighter as it goes out. This is the darkest part of the shadow right next to the ear. Okay. that. What the burnt sienna. And then I'm going to use the burnt ochre because up here, still fairly dark, but not quite as dark. So as we come out of this, we need some mid-tone. Okay. And then we've got this dark patch just here. That. And then we need the perylene. What done with it? Oh, it's here, the perylene red. I'm going over where the dark, oops, can't see me, can you? I'm going over where I put the dark sepia. Here we go. And then in between, I'm just going to in some of this burnt ochre, which is the mid-tone. Okay, come down here. There. I'm going to sharpen this pencil a little bit. Okay. There we go. And where all these darker lines are, this is where I'm going to go with the burnt ochre to start with, because we haven't got, these are all really dark down here. We've done the darkest parts. I'm just building up this little bit of the mid-tone area. And when we build that up, that's going to get darker than this. So, you're just switching from one to the other. And as long as you're happy with the contrast and the tones, then we should be okay. Right, let me just rub some of these lines out again. Now, we can come back out a bit further now with some of these mid-tones around this ear. Right on the edge, we have got some white. But again, it's not just a white, it's a pinky white. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just so I know where we're going, whoops, this line out again, there we go. So that's where the mid-tone goes. And then we do have, so get the pink white. We do have some pink white fluffy bits coming out of here. So I'm going over where I've put the mid-tone as well as where I'm putting the white or the pinky white. So you can see it gets a little bit lighter out there. And then what we can do is when we've built some more layers up, we can actually go in with the slice and make sure you'll see then how it sort of fans out. So I'm just going to carry on now. So I'm going to go back to this side and see if we can darken it up a little bit. And then, so I'm going back with a burnt ochre. So just keep looking at your reference all of the time. Okay. Lighter area just here. Then we've got bits of the dark areas just here. Bit of sienna. Oh, here we've got some very short hairs, but we have got sort of different, got some very dark areas and some very light. And also watch carefully your direction of the from this eye. It's all going in that way. But when you come out from the eye where the little bit of grey is, so I've got French grey 10%. Where it comes out, it wants to go over that way a little bit. So you're curling over there. It's going to get a white. No, it's a pink white. I want a white. And just push in. So I'm just going over with some white with fairly. So I'm not going to be doing much more in this, just in this section where the white is. Push it in and out like that. Okay. I'll just check with the slice whether we can. That just tidies those edges so it looks, it's a lot finer hair. Got some fine hairs coming out of here. That are overlapping into the brown. That. Okay. But we can leave that for now. Just gonna use a nice soft cotton bud, dry, make sure it's dry, clean, just soften those edges in. So you don't destroy the fur line, but it just makes it look a lot fluffier. You could see it just takes a little bit off, but it it does make it look when you get closer to it, it does start to, so you can see the fur lines, but it does sort of soften them a little bit. So it does make it look like the cat's nice and fluffy and soft, which he is. That's how he is. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of this. So this is a glaze. So I'm using the pencil actually on its side, and I'm very lightly. This is the terracotta, and I'm very lightly in a glaze. Where I've just softened the fur in. Okay, and that will add a little bit more depth to the colour. So then we carry on. We can do, I'll put some more of this dark colour in. So each time we're darkening this section up. But don't forget, don't do it all dark. It's got to be, we're going to start, it's going to get darker really in this, where the darkest bit is, and the rest of it is going to be fairly light. So that's there. Need to darken this one up again. So I've used some dark sepia, and use some of the Perylene brown again from the Luminous selection. There we go. But just make sure as it's going into the eye, look, it is a little bit lighter and it goes into this grey. Now I'm just going to put a few bits of this Perylene brown, because I can see little patches of dark there, but not as dark as these. And it has got a red. So I'm just doing some little light strokes in the direction that they need to go. Yeah. So we've got a few now that's a little bit redder. Okay. Then back in with the burnt ochre and go over and into the lighter areas. Down here, add some more to this piece. So that needs to be quite a bit darker. So now I'm going to the burnt sienna. Into that lighter area where the dark is. And like I say, this is very patchy with the dark. So it's not in every. Go. Now looking a lot nicer and not darker. Bista again. Where are we? Where's the Bista gone? That's it. Nice Bista. Okay. So burnt ochre because we're starting to, because these are some of the darker areas again. Um, burnt sienna. So some of the pieces, some of the strokes I'm pulling that way and some I'm pushing that way, just so that they go in and the hairs look like they're crossing over each other. Then I need the Caroline Brown again in little sections of this. That. Okay, and then I'm just going to start so I know where I'm going to start with the grey. So I've got the French grey 10%. So this here is where the grey starts. A little bit of light and whitey colour over there. So I'm just going to just shading that just so I know this is where the grey is going to start to come into it. Got a bit of a grey podgy bit. And then here, again, I'm just going to push the white, push it in. get one with a nice sharp point. There you go. You can push in some of the fur detail and push out there some of the fur detail as well with the white there. Look, push it hard into there. And then also we've got some white bits there. Okay. And then if you can, just if you need to make these any thicker, can do. And a little bit more white with them. Okay. Couple of bits of white here. Not all white, but some of it is. There we go. So you can see now that this part of the head is starting to take shape. Okay. And you can see all these different colours. They're beautiful colours in there. And then again, I'm just going to glaze with the terracotta. Go. That gives it a bit more of a gingery. It's when you say ginger, that when you look at it, the sort of warm browns and gingers. But that is starting to look like whiskey, definitely. I'm just going to leave it there for now. And then tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, we'll pick up where I left off and we'll just carry on. We'll do the top part of his fur. Then we're going to come down and do his nose, the bottom part and his chest where the white fur is, and then we've got some very dark fur. So there should be just one more video and that should be it. But I hope you've enjoying it so far and you're getting to grips with it. So, I mean, this ear is definitely going to need some more colour on, because this has got a heck of a lot more pink than that one. But at the moment, they both look about the same. So I need to make sure this has got a bit more pinky colour in. And then this is going to stay fairly light, but we've still got plenty of layers to put on. And this is what I'm saying. You have to have patience because you need to put layer after layer after layer on. But as I say as well, keep stopping, stand your picture up, stand back from it, and you'll see if you're going in the right direction. And if you're not sure of something, when you're looking at the image, if you squint, so if you put the image in and squint at it, you'll see where all the lights and darks are. So you'll start to see tonal value. And the other thing you can do, which I often do, is I've got the color picture here on my tablet, but I also do it and save it as a black and white, because that will give me a better clue as to where the tones are and what the tones are. So even though they're different colors, you can see how they compare tonal wise, because tone and shape and direction of form, to me, are the three most important things you need to get a painting or a picture with colour pencil to look how you want it to look. Okay. So that's it for tonight. And then I'll carry on again tomorrow, and hopefully if we don't get it all finished, we'll get the nose, mouth, and the rest of the fur finished, and then we've just got the white chest hair and his sort of a little bit of the really dark gingery coloured back of his hair done, because white fur can be quite difficult. There's a lot of colours involved in white fur, but if you don't get them in the right places, it can look odd. You need it to look like there's some bright white furs overhanging. You've got the shadows of the fur going underneath. Okay, so I'll leave it for now, and I'll catch up with you again tomorrow. If you've got any comments, please let me know, because I say I'm new to this. I want to give you as much information, but I don't want to bore you with too much information that you already know. So if there's anything that you need to know, or If you think I'm babbling on too much, then fine, just let me know. Usually I have all the colours down. On this one, I've sort of added some colours and taken some colours out because I'm working with it. I've just done one quick mock-up, but now I'm doing it really properly for the first time myself. So just get your colours as near as you can. You've got the reference photographed as a guide, so that should be a help to you. Okay then, right, I'll let you get off and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Good night.